Alright guys, welcome back to the channel. And primer day has come and gone. So it is coated in 2 coats of epoxy primer, top, bottom, most everywhere, except for stuff that like the floor pan inside that I'd painted at one point and got it dirty and messed it up. Doesn't really matter on the floor or inside because that's getting covered up. But anyway, didn't go as well as usually planned because it's really tight in here. Um, you know, it's painting. Things just don't go right, especially when you don't have spots set up specifically to paint in, which I have this nice spot over here off to the side of the shop where they didn't quite finish part of the building, and it would make a great paint booth. Probably never going to happen here. So anyway, so you know, you got to use what you got. So I'm going to talk over about what primers I used and some of the issues I had. More issues than I've had in the past. Just, you know, everything went wrong that could go wrong. So let me jump into that. All right, well, I would just do a quick walk around the car really quick here. And you can see, nice, fresh coat of primer. Doesn't look bad. It's epoxy primer. There's a few spots that I kind of goofed up. But due to my hands sweating and one of those things, don't wear gloves when you paint because the sweat builds up in your gloves and it drips out your wrists and drips onto what you're painting. Not a good thing. But as you can see, that's all nice and primered, and that's essentially ready to go. So, and I will walk around the shop now. Yeah, this is what it looked like when I was done. Yes, all this stuff lying around. This is real life, you know. The only thing I've done is I had a couple of hoses here that for my air compressor that I rolled up. So yeah, I haven't cleaned up. So I'll show you what primer I'm using, which is over here. All right, for the supplies that I'm using. For the primer I use Kirker Enduro Prime, which is an epoxy primer, which is a 2-part primer, which you use 1 part of the primer itself and 1 part of the catalyst, the stuff that makes it harden, stuff like that. So this is just a 1-to-1 mix. You know, one of this to one of that, spray it on, done. Now for my spray gun, this time I was using this little guy that I bought from Harbor Freight a few years ago. This was one of their nicer ones at the time. But to be honest, most of the time when I'm spraying primer, I just use what used to be the 47016 spray gun, which was the $10 spray gun for shooting epoxy primer. Works just fine. It works just fine. I almost brand new one over there. And those are great because for primer, buy it, use it, spray it. If you don't want to clean it, throw the gun away. Now, for my cups, there is the PPS system from 3M, which is a really good system. There's the 1.0 and the 2.0. Well, the patent ran out of 1.0, so now you have copies. And essentially what that gives you is on these, you've got a little cup. It's got all your little graduations on here. And you reuse this. So now you take these little cups that it comes with, and you'll have, you know, these little guys here, and these are really soft and collapsible on purpose. You slide that down in there, and for my 1-to-1, I was just mixing at 10 and 20. So that gave me my mix that I needed. Pour your stuff in there. You take this lid, which has a built-in screen on it for straining, which is really nice. Funny little connector. Put that onto here. Once your paint's in there, knock it over. Take that lid, screw it on there, and then you can take one of these little plugs that it comes with. You put that in there, and you do that. You shake it up. Good to go. Now, all you do is take this little guy, take your spray gun, which you've got a PPS adapter on it because it uses the same adapter as 3M. Take your paint, it'll go like this, push it, turn it, done. Now, when you first start to spray this, you want to turn it upside down and spray until you get all of the air out of here, because you want this thing to collapse on you. So what happens is that as that collapses, you get all the air out. So now you can go to spraying. You can spray this way, you can spray that way, you can spray upside down, because you've got no air and it's just fluid right up against here. These work really well. will say the one thing I do not like about these, the knockoff ones, I'll call it, is that the graduations are printed on the outside of this reusable cup. If you're like me, you're messy. Um, these are little markings on here. These will wipe right off with a thinner or a cleaner. So you have to be really careful not to do that. The 3M system has a nice little plastic sleeve that you slide down in. You pour your paint in there, you pull that sleeve out, and that way that sleeve has all your markings on it, and it doesn't get dirty and nasty. So I'll have to come up with something like that for these, because these are the cheap ones. This is what I buy. I don't remember buying this size. There are many sizes of this. I could have sworn that I ordered the bigger cups. This is what I got. I have to check the order. I've had these for a good while. Um, but they're consumables. You use it, you buy different sizes of them, and you'll mess these up and gunk them up, and because these you reuse. As you do, you just throw it away. You get a new set. I want to say that these run about $55 for anywhere from 40 to 50 of the cups. So it's a little over $1 a use, but you don't have to clean a cup, and you can spray upside down. And you don't have to use a mixing cup either. So you start kind of doing the math there. It's actually a pretty good bargain, and for what you need, because you're not buying a mixing cup. You're not having to clean the cup on the gun, and all of that. So you save money by buying these. They work pretty well. So this is what it looks like when you're done. This is one I didn't throw away, and essentially it just collapses down in. It just keeps collapsing as you go. And you'll get to use the vast majority of the paint that's in there. To prime this, I used 3 of these cups fulls to do what I needed to do. I think it was 3, something like that. All right, so now I've got this open. And as you can see, there's very, very little paint left in the bottom of that. Just a film of paint is all that was left, all that was wasted in that. So that works really well. And there's the screen that would catch any of the gunk. So again, you don't have to buy filters either. I really do like these. I'd like to get a few more sizes of them, because for the price of these versus the 3M ones, the 3M one is better. Hands down, just like typical with 3M stuff. They make great stuff. But for the average Joe out there, we can't afford 3M stuff. So we got to buy the knockoff stuff. But it works really well for the price. And what I will say is this cup doesn't crush in as nicely as the 3M ones. So that's something else to keep in mind. All right, now comes to the part for you, not just for the car. Now, when I'm painting, I wear my old Tyvek suit, which this is a nice, clean, new one. Don't use ones like my nasty one over there used for sandblasting. The sizes on these things, they're all over the place. I will say the ones with the booties, with the feet things that you're supposed to be able to put your shoes through, if you got child-sized feet, I think it'll work. But if you got adult-sized feet, you're not going to get your shoes down in those things. So just to keep that in mind. Now, you can use a regular mask, like it goes on your face and has filters on it. They work. I use them. I have them. I use them. I don't really prefer them. What I prefer is this system here, and I like this. This is a full face shield. I'll move this over a little bit. This is a full face shield one, so it keeps crap out of your eyes, because the paint will burn your eyes and get in your eyes. You don't want that. Now, instead of using filters, which this will use filters, I have this little system here. Okay, so basically I run a second compressor outside of the shop away from the building and run an air hose in, and this has a water separator, which actually see it actually catches water in it. Works pretty well, and it has a filter in the middle, and this side you can put water in it if you want to humidify the air. I don't know why you'd want to do that, but as far as I'm concerned, I like dry air. I hate humid air, so I don't want to be breathing it. Now, these also come with, you've got your regular connection here for your air hose, and then you've got another connection here which you're supposed to be able to hook your spray gun to. I guess you could do that. I assume there's enough airflow through this. I've never tried doing that. That's why it's rolled up like this. I need just to plug it off. But I don't like using the same air compressor for breathing air as I do for the painting, because the one I use for breathing is an oilless air compressor that is much better than the one back there that's got a pump that runs on oil. And you're going to have a little bit of oil coming through on an air compressor no matter what. I don't care how good your filter is, you still have stuff coming through. And depending on where your compressor is located, mine's in the shop. Oh, where's the paint and spray? It's in the shop. So you wouldn't be getting that stuff out of the air. You would be just recirculating it right into your face. So these work really well. I think I paid about $50 for this setup here. It works really well. The thing I will say is you need a big enough compressor to run that. My little oilless, silent compressor is just barely big enough. Barely big enough. You need a larger one than what I have. Mine's a twin tank, like a California Air Tools type. So it works. Now, the other big benefit you have from this type of mask is that when this thing is pumping air in here, it's not just pumping air in here for you to breathe. It keeps this nice fresh air all over your face. So it's got dry air, essentially, blowing in all over your face, keeping you nice and cool, really comfortable. Now, I want to get down to the problems I had. I got my first coat on, no problem. What to do my second coat? All of a sudden, at one point, I'm going along, and all of a sudden, I can't breathe. And that mask is just sucking in my face, just like a scuba mask if you ran out of air. Well, my compressor decided to shut off. Never had that compressor shut off. No matter how much I've ever done with that thing and run it and run it and run it, it's never shut off. So I had to cycle the pressure switch a couple times. Well, actually the better half did, because she came out, and it was right when she came out, so maybe she jinxed it and trying to do something to me. But anyway, I went to her, and she flipped it on and off a couple times, reset, kicked on, got going again. So I go back to painting again. I go painting. And all of a sudden I'm like, man, that spray pattern looks a little narrow. I'm like, man, it's just a little narrow, and it's starting to spit a whole lot. And I'm listening, it's like, I don't hear my big air compressor running. So I walk over to it, and the pressure switch was in the on position, but it just was, for some reason, I had to push it down a little bit to get it to start up again. So it decided that it was going to have pressure switch issues at the same time. So yeah, there's part of the roof that's a little tiger striped, where it just got on a little heavy. It's on, it's fine. It's not going to hurt anything. It's not the end of the world. This is just epoxy primer. I'm going to have to scuff that before I put anything else on top of it anyway. But, these things happen. It happens. So my next step now is I'm going to go over, and I've got some body filler. I've got some little spots I want to fill in the engine compartment from grinding all the plug welds. And I'm going to fill all those up. I'm going to put a bunch of seam sealer on, which I think I'm only down to 1 tube, which is probably not enough. So I will probably head out to, I'll probably wait on painting the bottom now, and I'll pick some seam sealer up at the swap meet this weekend. So anybody that's in DFW and you're familiar with the paint swap meet, I will be there Friday. Try to find me. So yeah, it's coming together. And next video, we'll be painting black paint on the bottom. We'll be painting the front end, and maybe I'll be able to get some undercoating at the swap meet as well, if I can find a good deal on some. So yeah, it's kind of a short one, a little bit of information, a little bit of show and tell, and I will put a clip of actually some of the painting in there, because at one point also the camera decided to take a nosedive to the floor. I had it set up over here, and I look over and I tugged on the air hose just a little bit, and the whole camera's smacked on the floor, and I see little marks and stuff on the case there. And I have a glass screen protector over the lens, and it has a little rough around the very edges, but surprisingly, it didn't fix the camera, but it didn't break the camera. Being a GoPro, it needs all the help it can get. So anyway, thanks for watching, and we'll get to painting. Actual painting for a change, and putting some color on there that's going to stay there permanently. So thanks for watching, and see you later.